murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.
All right, you're tapped in. Let's get right to it. So we have Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, a Democrat out of Florida, who recently, as a result of the GOP redistricting or redrawing district lines for voting for representatives, congresspeople, things of that nature, has lost her seat. So what she's decided to do is go and commandeer or take over, or try to take a majority minority black seat in Florida. Now, this has caused a lot of friction between her and the Democratic or the black Democrats in the Democratic Party. It comes as no surprise to anyone that this would occur. One, that the GOP would take majority, a majority black community or district and redraw that district into the GOP's voting districts, okay? And by way, blacks lose representation. Now, this has happened in Florida as well. So as a result, Debbie Schultz, she loses her seat. So she said, well, instead of running against the person, the Republican who is in that redistricting, what is now redistricted as Republican domain or whatever, she chose not to run against this person, but to rather go and attempt to take the seat of a majority/minority district, mostly black. All right. Now you have black representatives running for that seat. She disregarded that. Basically, she's saying, okay, well, you know, if they're taking them, I might as well take them too. You know, I'll represent the blacks better than they can represent themselves. That would be a lot of us, the way a lot of us are looking at this situation. It's sad none the least. But so on all fronts, black Democrats or black voters, their votes are being taken over, or the seats that would represent them are being taken over by people other than black representatives. And again, this has caused a lot of friction in the Democratic Party. And the black Democrats are up in arms behind this. We'll see what comes of this situation. I don't think for a minute that Debbie Wasserman-Schultz is going to back down. I don't see that happening. But anyway, Representative Debbie Wasserman-Schultz is broadly considered, and this should be understood amongst a lot of voters who have issues with Israel, but she is widely considered a supporter of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, and is a prominent recipient of campaign contributions from the pro-Israel lobby. All right. Now, funding, as far as it goes where she's concerned, has historically been one of the top Democratic recipients of AIPAC-linked donations, receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign support. That's Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, okay? Policy alignment, well, she strongly aligns with the AIPAC's core stances, such as backing resolutions to censure critics of Israel and supporting ongoing military and foreign aid to the nation. So that in and of itself speaks volumes, okay? One, she agrees with everything Israel is doing, especially in terms of Gaza or Palestinians, all right? Now, also, it can be said she also supports the war in Iran, all right? As well as the war in Lebanon. Now, this is a full-fledged supporter of the Israeli regime. She makes no excuses, apologies for it or about it. It's that clear cut with her. All right, now historical friction. There have been brief periods of tension. For instance, in 2014, this is how long she's been around. AIPAC lobbied heavily for a bill that would have levied new sanctions on Iran. Because she was chair of the Democratic National Committee at the time and the Obama administration opposed the bill, she faced pushback from pro-Israel advocates for not immediately backing the legislation. That seemed to be her only disagreement with those pro-Israeli or pro-Israel people or supporters. Now, that being said, I have something I want to drop for you guys, a couple of pieces to give us a little more context on what is really happening with Wasserman-Schultz and why she's attempting to take this majority minority black seat for herself rather than go and fight for the seat that's being taken from her from the GOP, which makes a lot of sense to me. Well, I'm not just gonna give you something, you want to take something from me. Okay, we got to fight for it. Rather fight her black constituents or her peers in the Democratic Party for that seat rather than go defend the seat that they're taking from her, which we find to be appalling. That's just so cowardice, and cowards come as men and women, what I mean? No, straight up. Let's include this clip because, like I said, this is something that needs to be understood. And hopefully the people of Florida in that district, the 20th district in Florida, understands what's really going on, what's taking place. Not only have Republicans, the GOP, taken, redrawn district lines to take seats or the votes, basically, of blacks or who are in that area, but now Democrats are also doing the same thing to black voters and or their representatives. She's no different than the people who's doing these things. And again, rather than go fight for her seat that they're trying to take, she's just giving it up to them. This is just, I don't know, her desire to remain in politics, as cowardly as this move is just greater than anything we're seeing being represented by her. She's more than willing to just go and say, okay, well, they took my seat, I'm going to take this seat, rather than, again, go fight for her seat. She's going to fight the blacks for that seat that they've been in and that they've represented for years and years and years, rather than go and fight for the seat she had been representing for years and years and years. There's something wrong with this picture. And no matter how we look at it in terms of black voters or black representatives, we are being attacked from all fronts. Even your own side is attacking you, trying to take something from you. That should give you a clear indication that this thing is rigged against you, no matter how you look at it. All right. That being said, let's get to this clip. Before we do, please like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe to Tapped, the Art of Political Discourse. We appreciate your participation and viewership. We really do. So thank you for those who have subscribed and watched the channel. And that being said, let's go on and jump into this. And this piece is courtesy of the New York Times. It covers what is actually going on. So they're talking about Representative Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, a Democrat from Florida, said on Friday that she planned to run for re-election in a majority minority district under the state's newly redrawn congressional map. The map created 4 additional Republican leaning districts, in part by eliminating her South Florida seat. Now, this is the seat that she's just going to give up. She can go and fight for that seat, but rather than go and fight for that seat because it's been redrawn into a Republican district, she's going to just give it up, and instead go over here in the 20th district and take that seat, or attempt to anyway. But yeah, there are 4 additional Republican leaning districts, in part by eliminating her South Florida seat. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz's decision to run in Florida's new 20th congressional district, however, has stoked tensions with black Democrats already reeling from Republican gerrymandering across the South that are likely to dilute or eliminate black representation in Congress. So she's a part of that party. She's on the bandwagon, so to speak. She's going to help the GOP to eliminate, black representation in Congress by trying to take a seat from black representatives, again, rather than go and fight for the seat they're trying to take from her. This is crazy, right? Her statement is, and I quote, "We cannot let Trump destroy Broward County's power," unquote. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz, who is serving her 11th congressional term and is a former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, said in a video announcement, all right, she was referring to President Trump's push for Republican governors and state legislatures around the country to engage in an unusual and highly partisan round of redistricting in the middle of the decade to help retain control of Congress. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, a Republican, signed the state's aggressively partisan new map on May 4th, setting off a musical chairs style scramble among South Florida Democrats. And again, it's not that they're barred from, campaigning in those districts. It's just that they don't have the stomach or the heart. They're too afraid to go and compete for a seat they were already in, all because it's now drawn into a Republican district. That's just so cowardly, if you ask me. So there were two Democratic districts held by Wasserman-Schultz and Representative Jared Markowitz, who have been eliminated or largely redrawn. In an interview, Ms. Wasserman-Schultz decried Republicans for taking what she called a cynical, disrespectful approach to redistricting. That's the pot calling the kettle black. They've done that to you, so now you're going to go and do it to black representatives, to black voters. You're going to do the same thing and then cry wolf, complain, but you're doing the same thing. Make that make sense. She goes on and she quotes, "What they did on purpose was chop up Broward's districts to smithereens," unquote. She said, noting that it is the state's most Democratic county. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz's decision to run in the 20th district was not unexpected, however, given the limited options for her to seek re-election under the new map. But even before her announcement, she had upset some black Democrats who said the district deserved a black representative. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz is white, okay? The district is majority minority, meaning more than half of its residents are black or Hispanic. Through the Democratic electorate in the district, though the Democratic electorate in the district is mostly black. Most of the district had been represented until recently by Sheila Phyllis McCormick, who resigned from office last month before a House panel was scheduled to consider expelling Ms. Cormick, who is black, had been indicted on criminal charges of embezzling $5 million in federal disaster aid and using that money for her campaign. She has denied the accusation and pled not guilty. She also said that she is running in the 20th district, as are other black Democrats. But one of them is, and this is kind of funny. One of them is Luther Campbell, known as Uncle Luke from the Two Live Crew, a hip hop group from the 80s and 90s. Mr. Campbell, a music producer and former youth football coach, said last week that it was appalling for Ms. Wasserman-Schultz to be considering a run in that district. And I have to agree with her. But he went on to say, I quote, "I will drag her." All right. Another black candidate, Elijah Manley, said on Friday that Ms. Wasserman-Schultz is carpetbagging. All right. She is everything that's wrong with the Democratic establishment. All right. Now, in response to this criticism, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz said in the interview that she already represents a majority minority district where a plurality of voters are Hispanic, and has a proven track record of helping diverse communities. Her announcement video included supported clips from a number of people, including several black activists and officials. I'd like to know who they are. I really would. And I think I'm going to go and research that and put that up on the channel as well. She also emphasized her seniority and experience. Okay. The Republican Party portrayed Ms. Wasserman-Schultz as abandoning her home district because she would lose. That's the point I was trying to make. Having seniority in this or not, it doesn't matter. They are literally you're just basically handing over your seat rather than go and fight for the seat. And in the process of giving up your seat, you're going to go and take someone else's seat. That's just cowardliness to me. That's just being a coward, and she don't want to do it. She don't want to go fight because, yeah, she's in fear more than likely of losing. being embarrassed. And if that should happen, then that means she loses any seat. So she's finding the easiest route into retaining or maintaining some type of political influence as a representative. Again, I just think it's real shady of her. That's just some shady behavior. Anyway, the congresswoman has long lived in Weston, a city west of Fort Lauderdale that is in the new Republican leaning 22nd district. Here's another quote from her. Instead of facing voters, excuse me, it's a quote from someone else. Instead of facing voters after years of backing Democrats' failed agenda, Wasserman-Schultz is running scared. And I have to agree. Maureen, this is said by Maureen O'Toole, a spokeswoman for the National Republican Congressional Committee. Yeah, this is happening, right? And as a result, a lot of these Democrats, they're running scared. They're just giving up their seats. They won't run for reelection in those districts now that they've been redrawn for fear of losing. And so instead of doing that, they're going and looking at their own colleagues in the Democratic Party's seat to take over. That's just, again, this is the most shadiest stuff I've seen from the Democratic Party, besides the fact that the majority of them take money from the Israel lobby, and they support what's happening in Palestine and Gaza, so I just say, hey, man, whatever needs to be done to get this lady out of politics, it should be done. And anyone like her, anyone who displays this type of cowardice, just no backbone, they need to be removed from politics. And again, if you don't do it, we'll continue to see the things that are taking place in Congress, where Democrats have no fight. They have no backbone. The only thing they're about is receiving donations, sponsorship, and money from PACs, the AIPAC, J Street, and others. This is what they're known for. Rather than doing the work of the people, they prefer to do the work of Israel interest first. So I could just imagine her being this in fright of losing the seat, or losing political office, which would put her in a position where she can't help the Israeli interest anymore. There's only one way to look at it. She's so desperate to continue to help them that she's looking past her colleagues and having any type of integrity or morals. That's how it is. And most of them people act that way. Look at Chuck Schumer, same guy. But again, you have a lot of Black Democrats who do the same thing, who will do the same thing, and their interest for doing this is only to get more money, to become richer, and it is not to do the work of the people. It is not. Debbie Wasserman-Schultz cannot do the work for Black people. She just can't. She just can't. She cannot assume to know what the needs of the Black community are. She's not a part of the Black nation in that respect. So she has no understanding, no real knowledge in terms of what needs to be done in those communities in the Black nation. She's just running on the fact that, oh, I've been a politician for many, many years, and I've helped, in some diverse ways, or I help people, from diverse backgrounds. It means nothing. It means nothing. She's probably done more for Israel than she has done for her own constituents and the citizens of these United States. And look into that, I challenge anyone to go look into that, see what she's done for United States as opposed to what she's been doing for Israel for over a decade. For over a decade that she's been in politics. And here she is running scared from the GOP. Rather than fight for her seat, she's just going to run away from it, abandon it, let them have it. No contest. Yeah, that's so scary and so, like I said, so cowardly of her. There that is. And, this thing is, again, this thing is so out of whack that it's really hard to really know who's for who. Whether these politicians are for the people or whether they're for a special interest. It's really hard to discern that. especially when you see actions like this. Her interest isn't for the majority and minority individuals in those mostly Black or Hispanic communities. That's not it. That's not it. Because if it was, she would step aside and let those representatives who represent the people in that district handle their business. Go fight for your seat. Don't go and do what's being done to you. Someone took something from you, and rather than you fight for it, you're going to go try to take something from someone else. And I hope they give her a licking. I really do. That being said, again, we're dealing with an individual who I think is just on coward time. I think this individual is on coward time. I have another piece right quick I want to drop just to hear it from her mouth. All right. To hear it from her mouth. Sad work. Sad work right here. Okay, and this is courtesy of CBS Miami.
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz making it official. Just a few hours ago, she announced she is running in Congressional District 20. The district had been represented by former Congresswoman Sheila Shervillis-McCormick until her resignation last month. Morning anchor Erica Gonzalez is at the news desk with the announcement video. Erica.
Yeah, Naja, we had been waiting for her decision to see whether or not she would be making the controversial switch from the district she's represented since 2005 to District 20 instead.
Wow, 2005? And you just up 21 years later and just give the seat up, abandon it? You don't go fight for these people who had you in that seat for 21 years? Oh, man, make it make sense. If that isn't a coward, I don't know what is.
We're going to have more on that in just a second. But first, here's a clip of that video that she released late this morning.
But I'll use all my seniority and clout.
And have the audacity to have a picture of Obama in the background. That is so political. That is so conniving.
In Washington to continue to make our lives more affordable and make Broward a safer, less expensive place to live.
So the move comes after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill redrawing congressional districts in Florida. The new map flips 4 seats that currently favor Democrats into seats that favor Republicans. Wasserman-Schultz' current District 25 was split up, which she said forced her to run in District 20, a seat in the heart of Broward's Black community.
No, she wasn't forced to she could have still fought for the seat. Though it's in a Republican district, she still could have fought for that seat. Her constituents are still in that area. So fight for the seat.
Wasserman-Schultz is making the move even after the Broward County Democratic Black Caucus asked her not to run for the seat. There are at least 5 African Americans also trying to become the Democratic nominee. Our Jim DeFede asked the 11th.
And that means the AIPAC will go in and back her. There's going to be a lot of money put behind Debbie Wasserman-Schultz to gain and win that seat in the 20th district. Mark my words on it. We're going to study this. We're going to follow this because I'm pretty sure that the AIPAC and J Street and other PACs are going to flood and funnel as much money as necessary for Debbie Wasserman-Schultz to win that seat over the other candidates who are Black and who should be representing that district. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you.
7-term Congresswoman about the criticism that she could be taking away Black representation in Congress.
Jim, I represent a minority district now, and everything that I have done in the years that I have represented this community has had me fully immersed in the neighborhoods and communities of Broward County.
So the seat for District 20 is currently vacant. Sheila Shervillis-McCormick resigned amid a House ethics probe and criminal indictment for reportedly funneling millions in FEMA funds to her campaign.
Okay, yeah, so there you have it from the horse's mouth, and that's her excuse for doing it because she had represented a minority district, but I beg to differ. Her District 25 was not majority Black or brown, but here she is saying, because I represented it so long, I have much to bring to the table. I know how to represent these people, but again, those in Florida in that district need to get out the vote, need to understand that this is more of the same. And the only way to stop it is to fight against it. If those of you who trust that the vote actually works, go and exercise your vote and make sure that this woman does not get a seat she does not deserve. The only seat she should deserve is the one she should be fighting for in what used to be the 25th district, which she just gave up, abandoned, because her fear of losing an election. And that fear, again, is based upon if she loses the election, she's out of politics. And if that's the case, then she can't help the Israeli lobbies and Israeli interests any longer. So there that is. Tell us what you think about this. Drop your thoughts in the comments and continue to support TAP, the Art of Political Discourse. Again, we appreciate your viewership and participation. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and each other.
You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.